All right, it's up.
Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. We're back for another episode of Peach Pit. We've got some more FRC event breakdowns and previews coming up. We had our week 4 events for, let's see, we have Albany for PCH and Hartsville over in First South Carolina. And then upcoming in week 5, we have our Gainesville event over in Peachtree. So we're getting further into the deepest depths of the regular season before we get into district championship season. But before we get started, we have to make the usual disclaimer that any views or opinions shared on this show are solely that of the individual contributor and do not reflect the views of Peach Pit, any FRC team, First, Georgia First, South Carolina First, or any of their affiliates and sponsors. So the idea behind the show is to serve as an FRC talk show that focuses primarily on the Peachtree District and First South Carolina District. We're going to be talking about a variety of topics, so don't be surprised if you see us drop some hot takes. Ultimately, we're hoping to provide some entertaining and engaging discussions. With that said, we'll go ahead and hop into some host introductions. My name is Kellen. I'm a mentor for 1042, the Buzzbots out of Athens, Georgia.
I'm David Allred, mentor for 4451 Robots Garage and 6864 Innovation Station, and on the South Carolina Event Planning Committee.
I'm Brian Carlson on Team 6829 Net Robotics. I'm an electrical mentor.
I'm Thomas. I'm a strategy mentor of Team 1833, Team B. And I would be remiss if I also didn't mention our chief spiritual advisor, producer Ian. We are in the process.
With the Ouija board.
We are in the process. We have acquired the duck. We just need the scale.
Yes.
So,
Then I will prove he's a witch.
I don't know. All of his predictions have been wrong so far this year. It wasn't like last year we got close.
Hey, a bad witch is still a witch, yes.
Hey, I gotta chime in here and say that the one I took seriously, the human players throwing fuel, seems to be most accurate so far.
Oh no.
Human players won games in Hartsville, let's put it that way.
A broken clock is correct twice a day. Just saying.
I will say, as we get into our week 4 reaction videos, for Ian's comment right there was a fantastic match at Albany where, I don't know, I think it was the Mechanisms, I forget who else was on their alliance. All their shooters were broken and they were down, I don't know how many points. They were just hustling to push as many balls into the corner as possible for their human players. And I think they mush another 3 or 4 balls in with 3 or 4 seconds left. And these human players get 3 shots up just as the buzzer is going off, and they wind up winning by 1 point. And it was fantastic.
I'm telling you, it's exciting. We got a lot of cheers at Hartsville when the robots were shooting and the human players were shooting. It was crazy.
Yeah.
The level human players were more important than I originally thought.
Oh yeah.
I thought
especially in Autumn.
Yeah. Is there an entire portion of this game that doesn't even matter? Climbing? Yes, it doesn't matter one bit. Is this game still very exciting? Also, yes.
Maybe we could have the human players climbing on the tower while they're shooting into the hub.
Yeah, I think
I'd make it extra exciting because the tower is useless otherwise right now.
Yeah.
We're working on getting one for our practice field at District Champs, only for people to drive, know how to drive under it.
Yeah, where they can park their bot to use it as a pinning area.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yes.
Let's move on.
All that said, we're going to work into our week 4 reactions here. We'll get started with our South Carolina event over in Hartsville.
Yes, where we had, I think, 32 teams, was it? Show up at Coker University in Hartsville, South Carolina. I think this is our 3rd event there. So we know how to set it up. That was a pretty easy venue for us. And I was the field supervisor there. So let me tell you, if y'all could not disturb the fuel in the middle, it will help your field reset team. So if y'all shoot the preload and drive around, that'd be very helpful. So
I
match
got a chuckle out of our
cycle
PCH group.
times
I
are
think they
apparently
unionized.
built on reset. So we were resetting hustling, but we kept on schedule. All right, first things first. Big congratulations to 8575, the Due Westerners, for a double gold clean bling. They were the first pick of the first alliance and won the event, and also picked up the Impact Award. Category 5, a 3489, picked up the Engineering Inspiration. The Winners Alliance, which did not surprise me too much going in, 1287 was the #1 alliance captain, picked up 2 Westerners, and then 6167, the CB Bearbots, a very good steal at the 24th pick. I don't know why they dropped that low. And on the other finalist alliance was actually Alliance 6. There was some robot mishaps along the way, and the Alliance 6 was captained by a rookie team, 11424, the Boa Constructors, which is a sister team to Viper Drive. And they picked up 281, the Green Villains, as their first pick, and 10367, Category 4, Storm Surge, the B team, to Category 5. Basically the #1 alliance swept through the playoffs with not a lot of trouble, but it was interesting to see in the first round both Alliance 2 and Alliance 3 lost their first match, and so they had to meet up in the elimination in the lower bracket. And so 2 and 3 had to duke it out to see who would advance down in the lower bracket. And I think 2 took that over 3. And I think 2 went out in match 13. So and 2 was the Ramrod. The Ramrod 6366 and 343, and I cannot remember the third team.
I have it right here. It's 11.
11308. I'm sorry, I shouldn't know that. That's one of the teams I've been helping. That's the rookie team out of Daniel Morgan Technology Center up in Spartanburg. My bad, folks. So all around a very interesting event, because it was really all about a little bit about matchups and a little bit about who would improve the most. Out of all the robots there, who improved the most was 6366, the Ramrods. They switched from a single stream turreted shooter to a double shooter. You can take out the back, shoot out the front style. They are still dialing that in, and I think they will be a heavy contender come district champs time. Also in the big improvement range was 1319 Flash, that went from a double shooter to a drum shooter, which helped with throughput quite a bit. The Technical Terminators 1051 also improved their shooter quite a bit, and then 11254, I love that number, 11254, First Ignition, added a climber to their kit bot and put up a lot of in-game points along with 1051. So we had 3 climbers in total at that event. None of them could quite pull off the autonomous climb, but all 3 climbed, and the third climber was Phoenix. Was the third climber. I would say going into district champs in a few weeks, the pattern is starting to change a little bit in South Carolina, where defense is starting to become much more prevalent. It's not just a shootout anymore, and they're not necessarily sending like a kit bot down to defend. These are swerve defenders. And so as the field gets steeper at district champs, I'm assuming we're going to have some swerve defenders and a lot more bumper to bumper bumping. In fact, I think the 2 versus 3 match had both offensive robots on each end swapping from offense to defense and back. So it was like shoot, go defend, come back and shoot, go defend. Very, very interesting strategy.
Yeah, it's fun to see those things pop up, because at some point you're outgunned, or you get like, all right, we got to do something, otherwise we're just going to lose if it comes down to a shootout. So
and
I think there have been some PCH alliances that have done that. For all right, we've scored on our period, just bully them in their zone, get everybody over there, and
see if you can jump on them, surprise them, and take points off the board. Because if you just devolve this into a quasi, I wouldn't say triple offense, but 2 offense and 1 semi defender, that's if you don't have the numbers, you're just not going to win. So you need to do something different. I saw that in South Boston as well this past weekend. I think Alliance 2 took down Alliance 1 using a defensive, like a double defender strategy.
Yeah, and it's again nice to see where there's the depth to have a third robot that's playing that defense at a proficient clip instead of what we've seen earlier this season for 44-51 being one of those to try throwing a left hook.
You just roll the dice and said, maybe we can slow down Link and only lose by 200. But
Exactly, yeah. We had similar things happen in PCH of just, I think it was the Gwinnett event of like, we gotta try something.
Yeah, triple defense. Great idea.
And chaos, just creating chaos can lead to offensive jitters, right? Maybe something doesn't quite work right after you got hit a couple times. So it's definitely going to be definitely a big thing in South Carolina. I can tell. I don't know about Georgia, but I'll turn it back over to you for your Week 4 review, and maybe you all can talk through any defenders you saw there that were pretty good.
1771 best defense bot in the district.
I would say.
I'm going to give a shout out to 8736. They pulled some good defense themselves, sir.
Yeah, well, this event was not, I would like to say on record, I did say that 1771 might not seed first last week. However, I did not think it'd be because of this. This event was nothing I don't think it's what anybody expected coming out of going into the event. Just if you looked at StatsBotics before this event started, it looked like, oh, this is, you're fighting to see who's going to be the team that's with 1771. And then 1771 in their first match came out, and it looked like, oh, it's over. Like, this is what we expected. And then it all seemed like everything started going right for everyone else. At the same time, everyone else, it started going, at the same time it started going wrong for 1771. It started going really right for a lot of other teams. Most notably in Quals 14, you saw 1002 beat 1771 straight up for the first of 2 times that they would face each other at the event. And it became very apparent early on that it wasn't as clear cut as a lot of people thought it would be, and it there was actually going to be a really true race to see who could get that get that first seed. Early on, it looked like 1002 had the edge as they had an early supercharge match with 6919 and 1261, but they ended up dropping a match and dropping a critical RP in their second match against 1771, which as a result gave team 4188 the inside line on becoming the first seed. Even though 1002 ended up facing them again, facing them in quals and beating them, because 1002 was able to maintain, and I don't think they had a match where they didn't get at least 1 RP. They were able to lock up that 1 seed. Now, there were a lot of questions going into Alliance selection at this event. You had 4188 as the Alliance captain, but beneath it, there were a lot of questions. You had 1002, who was probably, in my opinion, the clear best bot, most consistent bot at the event. But you also had 1771, who, if they got things working, could drastically change Alliance selection. You also had Team 6919, who was kind of also just as good as 1002, if not marginally. I'd say 1002 was marginally better, but there became a feeling that this was a potential scorch scenario with 4188, because it looked like that they might be I don't want to say worst out of the 4, but out of the 4, the one you would want to, like, the team that was at the bottom, or I don't know, I'll just say it, the worst of those 4.
They're the bottom of the top tier.
Bottom of the top tier, like still head and shoulders above everyone else, but like of that cream of the crop, it looked like a potential scorch, especially with 1002 being at 2. It looked like a scenario where they could say no to 4188 and have faith that any combo they were with the other two would win. So there was definitely a lot of control. It wasn't as clear cut as it had been in the past. I, of course, was not there in venue, so I don't know what conversations were had, but that was something that us at least at Bean were game planning out and theorizing and using as practice material of, oh, this is the data we have. Is this a scorch? Would we say no? Would we say yes? What scenarios and what order? And it really was all up in the air. I would say it was a really, really big surprise to us when 1771 was the first pick. Granted, I wasn't there. I don't know if the messaging could have been, hey, we're fixed, we're good, let's go. Or I think Callan has put it best when describing the team he was on when he was a student, a situation of, I don't really want to play with you, but I really don't want to play against you. And so that kind of put 4188 in a really, really hard picking position, where they ended up picking 1771. 1002 ended up partnering with the team that they won Dalton with, Team 6919, to get ready and to go into elims. Then as we went into elims, we also had a couple interesting partnerships. Team 9470, Team 1648 ended up declining. Was it 6023 or 5109 that they declined? I think it was 6023. Declined to make an alliance with Team 9477 Lambda, which looked like an interesting alliance. And then we also had some interesting pairings and matchups. But as we got through, it became really apparent that it was going to be the 2 seed versus the 1 seed, with the 2 seed reaching a staggering 402 points in match 8 and elims. Then again, this was the event of surprises. With then, out of the blue, it looked like 1771 all of a sudden worked and beat and slapped down Alliance 2 back to the lower bracket. And then, unfortunately, the wheels began, it felt like too little too late, or like the gas started to run out. As we went to finals, Alliance 2 came in with everything, and it looked like the duct tape, bubblegum, and grit, the grit, spit, and duct tape seemed to start to wear off 1771, and their elims magic seemed to wear off, with the 2 seed narrowly winning finals 1 after the Red Alliance gave up a whopping 35 foul points, and then ended up handily winning finals 2. With that being said, I will say that this is probably the best Georgia event that I have watched or been a part of since 2023 state championships, way back when South Carolina and Georgia were a unified district.
Oh God, that was
and I would like, this event was electric. I think this event also goes to show that even though that there looks to be a heavy favorite in the district now, with 1771 falling off, this event is like this district and this game is up for grabs. I think the volatility of the rank game, with there being no climb RP, has shown that anything, and I mean anything, can happen. It's going to be down to schedule, luck of the draw, and who prepares best on the day. A special shout out to the Team 6919, who also got a gold cling bling winning Impact at Albany, an event they, quite frankly, they don't lose there. They just don't. And with 4188 winning EI as well, getting a double silver cling bling with EI and finalist. Of course, I believe they won Impact at Columbus, if I remember correctly.
I think so, yeah. It was back weeks for.
Yeah, so looked pretty good. Going forward, and Kyle Fender, who we wish was with us, did say for at the moment, 1002 does look like one of the best, if not, they could potentially become the best robot in the district. It's been a while since he's watched Team Bean perform, but they are a shot out of left field, and it is quite a surprise to see them.
Yeah, I think 1002 is really one of the biggest stories of this PCH season. Like if you were to go back, I think I mentioned this after week 1 for the Dalton event, of if you were to go back and tell somebody either last season or before this season got started of 1002 is going to be they're going to be the first overall, what they want to be in the first overall pick at Dalton, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
To then be in a situation here that 1771, yes, they got picked ahead of 1002, but 1002 to then lock in. Just watching the consistency of this team, occasionally you see these teams that are on the up and up that are kind of flash in a pan that they'll hit and they're like, wow, they got a really high ceiling, but they're shaky enough that they're going to have some bumpy matches here and there. And not to say that 1002 hasn't had any of those matches, but the consistency of the team out there this season has just been impressive for having 2 cycle autons, to be looking like they've been doing this for a while, but to have the number of some of the best teams in this district and to be performing as well as they have. We're queuing ourselves up for an amazing DCMP. I think there were some comments in the community of like, the depth of this district is looking great. I'm excited for DCMP, just for, again, the depth of options available for all 8 alliances, just to see what that event's going to look like. The elims are going to be a thrill for.
And what also makes it really exciting is we've had back-to-back weeks with potential scorches with 832, and I know 4188's a different caliber, but like we could see a scorch at DCMP, and you guys need to buckle up. Nothing like and this is also to my Team Bean students who are watching at home, like this really isn't guaranteed. I think this district is as wide open as it's ever been. In past years going into DCMP, you could say, oh, they're clear favorites. Like last year, it was very clear that 1833 and 1771 were a cut above. And the year prior, it was Walton and 1771. And the year prior, it's not till you go back the year prior. And even in 23, it was like Walton and 1771. So it's very, very interesting and nice to see of like, there's not really a clear out and out person anymore.
Well, and to that end, you still have like you're saying, if you only have 12 matches, if you get the wrong end of one of those matches and you get paired up against 3 of the best robots at the event and lose a match, you really got to have your foot on the gas for any and all supercharges that you can, because you got to make up those ranking points somewhere else if somebody else has then an easier qual schedule that they're going to rank above you.
Right. And that's a problem. That's the problem we have.
You got a point, David. You got a point.
I'm at the climbers. No, I'm serious.
Not gonna happen. No climber.
I know. But I agree with you on the parity in Peachtree this year. It's going to be great. From an outsider's view, it's been pretty wild looking at that. So basically, second pick robots will be maybe be the deciding factor about who can stop who. And so watch, if you're just going to try to duke it out with the shootout, that ain't going to work. You're going to have that good second robot that can either feed, steal, defend, contribute in any way they can.
And in that vein, I think 1261 looks killer. Like they're
1261 second pick.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or playing that role of you just park them in the
midfield,
you can and they just they feeding. I think they set the high score of the high score of the event has 1261 in playing that like third bot. I don't want to say third bot, but that support role.
Right.
Like there's a lot of teams where if you're a turret who doesn't really have the throughput to score, but you can just mow that midfield and just that be your game, that has a very, very, very good part to play. Especially like, I think what makes we can talk about this after Gainesville too, but what makes this event, what makes DCMP so exciting is in the past, like there was the advantage of seeding first is that you get the second best robot at the event, right? You're the first best robot. You get the pick of the litter. You get to pick the perfect robot for you, or as close to perfect as you can be. But the downside and the advantage of being the 8 seed is even though, okay, maybe you don't get that same like top end talent, you get 3, whereas the first seed gets 2 greats and an okay, the 8 and those mid of the pack get 3 good. Like if you look at what States was in, like when all of us, and I, tell me if I'm wrong, but in recent memory, 2023 State being the best event, what made that so special was there were just the 8 seed had 3 killers. And like
yes, but that also needed a scorch to happen.
Yeah, but even like
I think we still would have had some really good lower seed alliances even without a scorch.
Yeah, and so this event, I think teams need to be looking, especially as there's only 28 teams who have not all but 28 or so. How many are going to Gainesville? I should know this. I'm going to Gainesville.
Yeah, I get it here. Fair.
It's 31. Considering all but 31 teams have played twice already, like thinking about how you're playing, like you might not, there are edges to be gained in the margins and in the strategy, how you do things. And I would heavily encourage teams to look outside. I don't just look at Peachtree in a vacuum or South Carolina in a vacuum. Look and see what 94-96 is doing in North Carolina if you're 1002, because they look really similar to your robot. So see what you're doing to see how you can improve. Like Mike Corsetto on 1678 says, steal from the best to make up the rest. And there's a lot of, and I'm not really going to give you the answers, but there's a lot of strategic nuggets out there that you can learn, you can glean, and you can that can give you the edge and just might win you the match. I think Worlds is going to be as close as ever. It's every match counts as we get into crunch time.
Yeah, and if you look back at as far as strategy goes, right, one of the things I want to highlight is Team 3635 Flying Legion. In Quals 3, it was a head-to-head matchup between 1002 and 1771. It was going to be the 2 big dogs sort of battling it out. Turns out 1771 they were dead for about the first 45 seconds. There was a significant lead by 1002 coming out of that. When 1771 started going and started scoring, they were just hitting it. But one of the things that was happening was when 1771 was feeding their alliance zone during the inactive period, so they could dump their hopper and be able to just chew up all the fuel just by driving around. 3536 Flying Legion was 3635 was in their alliance zone. When 1771 shot it over, Flying Legion was shooting it back. So once they came in for the active period, they would shoot their hopper, and they did not have a vast volume of fuel on the ground to put back in. So that score was about 90 difference at the end, like 260 to like 170 or something like that. That would have been a lot closer. It wouldn't have changed the outcome, I don't think, but it would have been a lot closer. But because that 3 bot was just sort of denying that, because those turret bots, they expect to get fuel on the ground from over there. And so if you can take that away, that's very valuable.
Yeah. There are 2 ways to win a match. Score more points than their opponent, or don't let the opponent score more points than you. And like that, I think
I'm looking forward to those intangible skill sets that, like, if you're just scouting like how many fuel are they scoring, and you're picking third bots based on that, you're missing some diamonds in the rough, because there's going to be some robots that are exceptionally talented in that feeder role or defense role that are going to really mix up the other side of the field to say, all right, you go over there, dive in, send them our way whenever you can. Don't worry 1 ounce about scoring. It may be an autonomous, but otherwise just get over there and wreak havoc and send some fuel our way. But
I think DCMP strategies could be a lot of fun because you're going to have a lot of flexibility.
Yep.
Yeah.
But before we get there, we have one more event. We have our Gainesville event that we've talked around a little bit as we've gotten things going here. But let's see. So we've got defending champs of this event are 94-96, 88-66, 42-40, and 95-22. Are any of these teams at the event? I don't.
42. No, not 42-40.
And 95-22. 95-22 is there. So they are a single defending champ coming back to the Gainesville event for defending. But with that being the case, robots to look out for. We've got a couple different tiers here. There is Team Bean is heads and shoulders above the rest of the pack if you look at EPA numbers. We then have a pretty substantial drop off if you're looking at bubble charts down to 1683 and 4189. All three of these teams played against each other at the Gwinnett event, so they have some familiarity. Obviously, there were a couple other contenders at that event. I think our Gainesville event is probably our thinnest event of the PCH season as far as depth goes. We then have a number of dark horse contenders. We'll see how these teams might be able to mix things up, but you got to have a pretty significant jump in fuel output in order to really shake up the hierarchy here. But we have Marist Manatees, we have iHot, we have 6705, 1746 is a kind of a kitbot on steroids, if we'll use a throwback.
I've heard they're rebuilding.
Oh, well, even more fun in that case. Well, looking forward to seeing what they show up with. They had a kitbot on Swerve that seemed to be driven pretty well. They showed up at Dalton for their first event, I believe, but I think had a pretty decent showing there. But in like, again, if you're looking at this at a EPA level, looking at the numbers, I think you have to have 3 of the second best robot of 1683 in order to even eclipse 1833 by themselves. So I don't want to put any the bad luck on the 1833 that if it was a 1771 would have had last week.
Don't put that evil on me.
You got to play the match, right?
Don't put that evil on me.
Exactly. Play the match. Be the consistent robot. Be the machine. Just turn them out one at a time. Don't get too ahead of yourselves. I think Cooper's their lead mentor's comments would be focus on the process and the improvements along the way. Don't focus on the desired outcomes. So step by step, work your way through it.
From Hartsville as well. So again, the 2 most consistent robots were the leaders of the winning alliance, where they were just literally the most consistent through the entire event. There were some other ones that showed good flashes, but they couldn't hold the consistency through the whole event. Mm-hmm. So good luck to the teams down there this week, and including Bean, as far as being consistent. I mean, I'm assuming Bean will be super consistent.
Yeah, so it's been fun kind of from I don't know, Thomas, you have any, are you going to show any cards for what Team Bean has in store this upcoming weekend?
They're
got the first 1,000 point.
They just have an intake and they just feed fuel to somebody else.
We got some things we've been working on. It'll be
that L3 climber then.
No.
What? It's a really fast 45 seconds.
We finally got the kids to stop bringing it up. No, we are not putting a climber on the robot. I vehemently deny it. It's not happening. It is not happening. If this robot climbs, it's because we got a penalty.
As a BuzzBots mentor over here, I am crossing we are collectively crossing our fingers to not have 3 quals matches against Bean as we did at Gwinnett. So that would really be great.
It's an opportunity.
Yes,
yeah.
learning opportunities.
But
yeah, we're to answer your question a little bit more seriously. We've I'm sorry, I'm having to check the list of things I'm authorized to say.
You're allowed to
Yeah,
say hi.
we're hi. We're really excited and looking forward to the opportunity to competing. We're definitely treating this event like we're trying to take this event seriously. Going back to back with Gainesville and State, a lot of the things we're kind of just trying to treat them as one big event. So we're just putting processes in place. In a lot of ways, this event is we're just treating as a challenge, and just using it to verify and make sure. There were a lot of things that we didn't really, I don't want to say didn't go well, but could have definitely been improved upon at our first competition. So we're focusing on that. But again, yeah, we're really big believers, and I think it benefits a lot of teams of like focus on the process. If you focus on the process of winning, you'll win more than if you just focus on winning. And you'll do more if you focus on, if the process becomes the goal will become, like the ceiling will get raised. And so a lot of it is just making sure that we're process oriented and process driven.
Hypothetical question. It has no real bearing on the conversation here. But if somebody were to play the best defense possible on you, how would they do it?
He lost audio. Wow.
Oh, come on, Thomas.
Yes.
The secret. They're gonna be
Wow.
lost.
All the golden nuggets lost.
He's still talking. How much? There must
Thomas,
be a lot
he's
of
always
ways to
gonna
play
talk.
defense on Bean.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Whack them. And then make them go that way. And then make them go that way.
Well, if anybody's an experienced lip reader, we could use your experience here. It looked like he was doing the Macarena there at the end.
That game.
Yeah, so
as we get that one.
As we get towards the end of the season, 1771 had some gremlins they had to fight through. Every team should realize in NFL, the most important ability is availability. So your robots have gone through a lot. If you're going over those bumps, they may have been yeeting a few times. Double check everything. Make sure things are still connected, and don't come unconnected. Because when we get to DCMP, if you're reliable and you play a role, you will get picked.
It hasn't gotten rough yet. It's going to get rougher.
Yes.
Yeah.
So batten the hatches. Tighten the bumpers.
I guess the other thing we brought up earlier was going to be is if there's going to be any RP ceiling changes to fuel. That would be another interesting mix-up for DCMPs.
It is in the manual that they are planning to. I think it is in the manual that they're planning to up it for DCMP.
No, in the manual they always call out that we are giving ourselves the ability to do it. They never say with clear intent that we are planning to up the fuel.
So, do you think they'll announce it before we can do our next show, and we got to guess what they're going to do for the district champs?
I think so. I think it'll come out. Team updates come out on what, Tuesday?
Correct.
I think if they do, it'll be then.
I want them to change it because right now, basically, it's RNG who has the best alliance partners to get the best average match score. There's nothing that you can do since the tiebreakers the first tiebreaker is average match score. There's nothing you could do to impact that. If you got better partners or not in quals, by upping that score, the RP will differentiate.
I mean, the only thing you're doing is being able to solo that supercharges as often as you can, which is only obviously a thing a couple of the robots in the district can do. So, regardless of who's on my alliance, I'm getting that RP.
And I think what makes this event in the seeding so hard is that 100, and I'm not saying it is easy, but the difficulty between getting 100 to be getting 360 is such that the difficulty gap is so big that like the gap between the two, it makes it really, really difficult for there to be like, you can't brute force a 360 in the same way you used to be able to brute force things in the past. So what I'm really looking as like, I hope as it's become readily apparent that this is a 5 RP game and not a 6 RP game, that I think I could see them doing, like, leaving the 360 static, because in a lot of districts that looks like an achievable, like a good spot, unless you're in Michigan, California,
Yeah,
and
it would be an
Canada.
awkward thing too to say, okay, these district championship events, their ceiling goes up, but the rest of you, it just stays
Yeah.
where it is.
And then, but like I could definitely see them in like keeping that the same, and instead going, in order to get the 4 RP, you have to get 200. Like
I agree with
that's
200.
something I think
Yeah.
that would be the change. If Thomas Priego was in charge of the GDC, which Lord knows I'm never getting anywhere close to that. That's the change I would make, is leave. I think 5 is in a good spot for most of the world right now, and then make it a little bit harder to earn the 4. And I think that would end up being the happy thing, because I think if you up both, you end up having the same issue, except you can't get 5 that we have now. Where now it's everyone gets 4, but you can't get, like, 5 is really hard. I'd like to see it to where 4 is a bit harder and 5 is still just as hard.
Yep. All right. Well, before we get too far into that and DCMP, we're gonna pull the plug on this episode. David over there at least knows who's going to his DCMP. If they've got everybody signed up already, I think you all have 32
we're
of your.
signing up frantically. They got to be done by Thursday, right? So, yeah, after your second event, you have to sign up, right? So, they'll be so everybody's done, and we'll be signing up, and we'll just see who's going to show up, and then I'll be working on the scouting list there.
Yep. Otherwise, PCH teams are making their last bids at it. I know my BuzzBots got some work to do on getting some district points to make that cut, but we are up for the challenge. But keep your eyes peeled for some Gainesville action this weekend in PCH. Otherwise, we'll be back at you next week with some district championship preview action and talking about what went down in Gainesville. But until then, we'll see you next time.